So welcome everyone once again. This is a topic that is very, very close to my heart, how to become a certified hypnotherapist. I have walked that path, I'm still walking that path, and it kind of, opens up so many avenues. So I feel great when I can share my journey, and if sharing that and giving you a few tips, directions, roadmap, if this has been on your mind, like if you had considered knowing more about hypnotherapy, maybe taking it up as a career, or just knowing it as a hobby or a vocation, whichever way. So I'll try my best to give a very consolidated view on not only on the subject, but on the modality and taking it forward. So to begin with, a quick introduction about myself. My name is Arpita, and I'm an integrated clinical hypnotherapist. I practice at JLT, Illuminations JLT. Apart from hypnotherapy, I also practice other modalities like transpersonal regression therapy, family constellations. I do a lot of corporate training. However, my forte, my passion remains in working and understanding how our subconscious mind works. So mind science is what I specialize in. Before going forward, it's because this is a topic of very close to my heart and my journey as well. So before I became a therapist, as I call it, as the first innings of my career, I'm an MBA. I studied economics in my undergraduate, and I completed my MBA, and I worked in the corporate sector for close to 15 years. And then I was introduced to the field of mind sciences. I came in as a client because I had certain issues that I wanted to work on. And at that time, I was very neutral, very new to this line of work. So I took it on as like, okay, I want to explore what this is about. And to my absolute surprise, hypnotherapy kind of not only changed my life, but my view about mind sciences, about complementary ways of healing. And long story short, then I quit my corporate job, which I truly loved. It took me 2 years to move from that part into full-time working as a therapist. And here I am today sharing kind of a roadmap for all of you who are interested in knowing more about hypnotherapy, hypnosis, the science of the mind. So here's what I have in mind today. Now, if there's anything else that you'd like to know, as I said, you could anytime put your comments on the chat box. I will pick it up and I'll answer it. What I have top of my mind is, I'm going to talk a little bit about, as you see, these are all the FAQs, the frequently asked questions that I keep answering as a hypnotherapist. So from my experience, these are the most common things that I get asked. So I've put them together for you today. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what is hypnotherapy, small introduction to the science of the mind. Why would you choose hypnotherapy as a client, or if you want to study it and you want to be a practicing therapist, why this modality? Now, who can be a hypnotherapist? Is there any special qualifications or skill set that is required? Where could you study? What kind of certifications would you get after you complete your course, and how do you make a start? So that's the kind of flow that I have in mind. But as I said, and I'm going to check right away if there's any comments, anything that you would like to be added, please feel free. I will definitely try my best to answer that. And then I'm going to leave a bit of time for any question answers that comes at the end. But yeah, if there's anything that comes on the next topic, feel free to stop me and I will be more than happy to answer you. So coming to the main part of what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about hypnotherapy. So what is hypnotherapy? Now, before we dive into the details of the therapeutic part of it, hypnotherapy comes like, or more correctly, when we talk of hypnosis as a science, hypnosis comes from a Greek word which is called hypnos. Now, if you translate hypnos from Greek into English, this if you literally translate it, it means nervous sleep. Now, as you see, there is a paradox in the first place, because if I am nervous, I cannot be sleeping. And if I'm sleeping, that means I'm definitely not nervous. So how does these two work together? These two work together because we define hypnosis as an altered state of mind in which the body, the physical body, is as relaxed as if I could sleep. And yet my mind is active, hyperactive, nervous. Now, nervous doesn't mean anxiety nervous. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a state in which your body would be so relaxed that as if it was sleeping, but your mind would be very, very active. This combined state of body and mind is what we call as being in the trance of hypnosis. Now, this is a very, very, very natural state. This is nothing that is only done clinically. So, for example, you and I, each one of us, experience hypnosis at least twice every single day. How? It is when you are going to sleep. So check for yourselves tonight when you are winding down, you want to go to bed. The last few moments between the state of being awake and the state of being asleep is the hypnotic trance. And in the same way, when you wake up in the morning, the first few moments when the alarm is rung, you just put your snooze button on and then you're just trying to get up. You're not fully awake. You're certainly not asleep. That state is also the hypnotic trance. So this trance state is actually extremely known to each one of us. What we do in hypnotherapy is we clinically create the same and kind of an environment where your brain waves go into that same zone. So it's not something unnatural, it is natural. If you're watching TV for more than 2 minutes, if you're on Netflix, you are under the state of hypnosis. I'm going to check the question. Elizabeth, is it same as theta? Similar. Let me explain this through brain wave. So when we are awake, for example, right now we are all engaged in a webinar, so we are awake. Awake state means our brain waves are what we call as in the beta state. So there's an amplitude and there's a wavelength. Now, when I start to wind down, when I start to relax, from beta, the brain waves they start to flatten out. So we go into the state of alpha. From alpha, Elizabeth, we go into theta, and hence theta healing is also another modality in which, we work at that theta level. And then when we are falling asleep, we are going from theta into delta. Hypnosis is anywhere between that. It is very much similar to theta. Now, I'm not experienced in theta healing, but I have had many people I have worked with who have also experienced theta, and they say it's kind of similar. So it is similar, but I can't say it is exactly the same, but very, very similar. It is how you feel when you are going in the state of meditation, when you're calming down. It is very similar to that. So anywhere between beta and delta is the hypnotic trance. I hope that answers your question, Elizabeth. So that brings us to directly into understanding the science of the mind, because here we are not talking of just our physical bodies. In any holistic sciences, for that matter, we talk about three elements. We talk about the mind, we talk about the body, and we talk about energy. Now, hypnotherapy falls in the domain of one of mind sciences. So when we talk of mind science, the first thing that I want to bring to you is the understanding of mind, because when we understand the basic science behind how our mind works, what are the different parts of our minds, how does the interplay between the parts work, it will become very clear to you about when I get into the more depth of hypnotherapy. So coming to mind science, and I would leave this first open to you all to just share. What do you think is mind? Where is your mind? And how would you define mind? So you can use the chat box in just sharing whatever you feel when I say the word mind. Conscious and unconscious, subconscious, yes, Yasmin, that is true. The conscious and subconscious are the two parts of the mind, and I'm going to be sharing in details about each one of them. So these are two parts of the mind. But what is mind? And where is your mind? Where is my mind? Does it have anything to do with our thoughts? Yes, of course, Liz, it has a lot to do with our thoughts, of processing of thoughts, of storing of information, and I'm going to come to that. So everyone says thoughts, ideas, creativity, thoughts. Yeah, all of you are absolutely right. This is the beauty of this science. You see, when I ask what is mind, and if we are 25 of us today here, we all are going to have a very different definition of it, depending on what I think is mind. Our mind is in our brain. I will come to that. Maybe yes, I'm not saying that's wrong, but there is a difference between the mind and the brain, and I'm going to come to that. Thank you, Elizabeth, for raising that point, because that is the most commonly said thing, is that mind and brain, is the same thing. It's not the same, but yes, they do interact. Your brain as well. Mind is a concept. It's not something not to be seen. Yes, Zinat, yes, you're very close to what I'm trying to explain. That okay, let's begin with that. Where is the mind? Still a mystery? Yes. It's not a mystery. If you ask me personally, I think a little basics of mind science should be taught as part of every curriculum in schools around the world, because it just helps us understand, our own wiring, our own system so much better. State of thinking. Yes, it is state of thinking. So let me begin with, and I'm going to take a note of all your comments, and I will answer the questions as well. Now, the basic difference, now mind, in mind sciences, when we are talking of hypnotherapy or any other mind sciences, we do not equate mind to the brain. For the simple reason is because brain is brain and mind is mind. And if it were the same, then we wouldn't have two different words to begin with. How we understand this in a fun way is, for example, see, I'm connecting to you, I'm using my laptop. So I need my hardware of my laptop, which I'm touching. So for every activity that I'm doing, I'm pressing something on the keyboard. So I am working through the hardware. But just having that iPad with me, the laptop with me today, does not enable me to reach out to you. What else do I need? I need a software. I need Zoom. The combination of my and your hardware, wherever you are, whichever hardware, your phone, your iPad, your laptop that you're using is your hardware. And we are using a common platform, which is a software. And there are multiple softwares. If you open our phones, you see how many softwares we have, how many apps we have. The brain is like the hardware. It is tangible. You can feel it. You can touch it. And there is a space. We know exactly inside my skull, there is my brain. Mind, on the other side, is the intangible intelligence or the software with which we are experiencing life. So I cannot touch the mind exactly the same way I cannot touch the Zoom software. So mind, of course, works through the brain, as one of you said. Elizabeth said, our mind is in our brain. It's not, I would rephrase that probably and say it's not in our brain, but it works through our brain. Like every software needs a hardware to work on. If you look at the definition of the Oxford Dictionary definition actually of mind, because I remember looking at this when I was studying clinical hypnotherapy many years back, because I couldn't wrap my head around differentiating the brain and the mind, because it's all here, and we even point here and we say we think from our brain, from our mind. But even if you look at the Oxford Dictionary definition of it, you'll see it says that the mind is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world, their experiences, to think and to feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. So it's exactly, each one of you have given me snippets of this definition, but the fact remains, even Oxford Dictionary talks about this to be an element. It is an intangible element. Now, if we go deeper into understanding it from a mind science point of view, we consider mind as a tool. It's an extremely powerful tool that we human beings have. The multi-dollar question remains, am I using this tool in the way I should? Am I able to control it and work with it, or is my mind controlling me? And that is a question I'll leave with you to answer for your own self. Coming to the definition of mind from a holistic point of view, we define mind as, imagine a vibrating ball of energy located all around us, the center of which is at the pit of my stomach. Now, when I say this sounds a little whack, but it is whack. Mind science is the science of the whack, as we say. Now, go to the details of it. What is extremely intriguing is that we say that if this is me, and imagine there's a vibrating ball of energy around me, which is my mind, my intelligence, my intellect, with which I'm experiencing life around me, the center of which is at the pit of the stomach. Now, if you look at human anatomy, if you look inside our bodies, what is at the pit of my stomach? At the pit of my stomach is what we call as the small intestine, or in other words, we call the gut. And this is where we use this phrase, I have a gut feeling about this situation. I have a gut feeling about this person. Now, technically, my gut or your gut doesn't feel a thing. It is the part of a gastrointestinal tract, which means the function of the gut is to help in digestion of the food we eat. And yet, very commonly we use the term gut feeling. This is where it is, because the epicenter of the mind is, according to many schools in mind sciences, is at the pit of the stomach. This is the reason many a times we also say things like, I have butterflies in my stomach, as if something is going to happen. I have this sense. Now, if I cut open my stomach, there's not going to be any butterfly, pupa, or larva coming out, which means, again, this gut, this small intestine, the stomach area is the seat of the mind. Now, apart from gut, there are other schools that believe in many other parts of the body, which are centers of this mind. One, of course, being the brain, because the mind works on the brain, the software works on the hardware, and then the hardware runs the body. There are schools of thought who also say that the mind also operates through the heart. So for anyone who is interested to know more about, the various definitions of the way we perceive mind, there's an institute called the Heart Math Institute. If you Google, you will see that they kind of do a lot of experiments, and they believe that there is a correlation of the heart to the mind, and hence again we say, sometimes we use the phrases, that my heart wants something but my head wants something else. Again, heart doesn't want anything. Heart just pumps blood, but it means that there are seats of intelligence in our body through which this software is working. So in a very simple way, the brain, the body, is the hardware, and the mind is the software that works on this. Now, coming to the details of this mind, coming to the details of, as one of you pointed out, that mind is conscious and subconscious. So now let's look at the different parts of the mind. Conscious, obviously, and subconscious. So there are broadly two parts to this. Now let's look at both of them. As you see, the conscious mind is only roughly about 10 to 12%. And to be honest, this is a very big estimate that we have taken here. Many sciences, many schools of thought believe that the conscious mind is roughly around not more than 5 or 6%. But even if it is, say, roughly 10%, which means that the unconscious, the subconscious part of our mind is way larger. It is 9 times bigger than the size of the conscious mind. Now, you can look at this diagram as a iceberg. Imagine how icebergs float in the sea. How much do we actually see? We just see the top part of an iceberg. The majority part, the bulk of it is underwater. It is the same way that our conscious mind and our subconscious mind is. Now, let's look at the functions with what we are aware, what is above the water level. These are the things that we do. Like, for example, you and I are now using our conscious minds. We are thinking, we are trying to find logic, we are analyzing the information, we are aware of our feelings at the moment, we are probably making certain decisions, probably we are judging. So all of these activities that are our cognitive activities and are extremely important activities which we use on a daily basis to run our lives come from the conscious mind. So imagine you and me are just using approximately 10% of the mind's capability to run our entire life. Just imagine how we could alter the quality of our lives should we know how to tap into the power of the subconscious. So if all of this that we are doing, as I explained here, is through the conscious mind, then the obvious question is, then what does the subconscious mind do with such a big space that it has got? And it is very simple actually. Subconscious mind doesn't have 10,000 things to do. Subconscious mind has just two very, very simple functions. The first one, and the most important one, is it keeps us alive. So survival is the function of the subconscious mind. How? Clearly, because subconscious mind controls all internal body functions. Now, for example, if I tell you that you can switch on your videos and all of you please raise your right hand and wave at me. Each one of you can do this, and so can I, because I know very consciously this is the right side, this is my right hand, and I can wave at you. However, at the same breath, if I say, so how easily I wave my hand, am I able to control the rate at which my liver is functioning at this very moment, or at the way my kidney is functioning at the moment? The answer to that is no. I have no control over how any of my internal organs are functioning. Why? Anything which is voluntary is governed by the conscious mind. So all the voluntary actions which we do, and now bear in mind, and if you think deeply, it's actually very less that we do consciously. My entire body, my internal functions of each muscle, each organ, each tissue, which is my internal body functions, is governed by the subconscious mind. Hence, it is the subconscious mind that keeps us alive. Why? Because when you go to bed at night, we don't give commands to our organs saying, hey, I'm going to sleep, and when I sleep, conscious mind also sleeps with me. So that means heart, you have to keep beating, and lungs, you have to keep breathing. No, we don't do that. We just go to sleep, subconscious takes over, and we wake up in the morning perfectly fine. So survival is the key function of subconscious mind. And the second function is storage. The conscious mind, if you again take an analogy, the conscious mind is like the CPU of your computer, the central processing unit, which means you're constantly processing stuff. You see thinking, logic, analysis, feelings, all of it. However, subconscious mind is like the hard drive of your computer. And what do you do in your hard drive? We store the files. So subconscious is the storehouse of all your experiences. And research says these experiences start from the time that you've been in your mother's womb to this very moment. Some of them we remember, some of them are archived and they are filed in the deep recesses. So subconscious mind, you can imagine it to be a room full of archives, or the hard drive of your computer where every information is stored. We may not be able to access it immediately, but it is stored there. Now, coming to the more fascinating part of it, if the strength of your conscious mind or your conscious thinking is 1x, the strength of our subconscious mind is anywhere between 6,000 to 35,000 times x. Hence, many a times we fail. For example, when we plan and we say, tomorrow morning I'm going to the gym, that is my conscious decision. And when tomorrow morning comes, there's something that comes up from my subconscious space, and I say, not today, tomorrow. That is because when there is a misalignment or a conflict between the conscious and the subconscious part, there is no chance of the conscious part getting ahead, because you are misaligned to a part that is at least 6,000 times stronger than you. Hence, when we talk of hypnotherapy, we are talking of working with the inputs that are there in the subconscious mind. we come for inner work when, you know, we don't come when things are going fine in life. So for example, no one will come and say, you know, I have so much money that I need to work on it. No. Or I'm so beautiful, I'm so healthy that I need this. No. It's only when I consciously want something, but for some reason I'm not able to achieve it, and it's completely illogical. So for example, I want to lose weight, and I have tried the intermittent fasting, I've tried keto, I've tried GM diet, I've tried everything, and yet I can't. I want to save money, but I can't. I want to quit smoking, but I can't. These are just a few examples where there is a mismatch between my conscious desire and my subconscious pattern. That is when we are talking about modalities like hypnotherapy, where we do not fight the subconscious mind. Our job is to align. Whichever alignment has gone wrong, or if there's a block, if there's a pattern, that is what we align. Now, more interestingly, subconscious mind is again has two parts. A bigger part is what we call as the modern memory. Now, modern memory means my memory from the time that I was in my mother's womb till this very moment. So this specifically belongs to me. And the second part is called primitive memory. Primitive memory is again memories which are not exactly mine, but they could be what we call as ancestral memory. It could be evolutionary memory. This is where we are referring to genetics or DNA. We carry imprints of our ancestors, we carry imprints of the environment, of their lives, and this is what we call as evolutionary memory. So with this background, knowing the conscious, knowing the subconscious, yeah, the other part is that from the subconscious mind is where we have this fight and flight responses. So every time there's a crisis, we would be choosing one of these two techniques or these responses, and this also comes from our subconscious space. Hence, we are unable to control it. So for example, if I am scared of, say, dogs, and I see a dog walking towards me, at that moment, though consciously I know that this dog may be completely harmless, but because of my subconscious pattern or an experience or a block, I would come and my reaction would come either from a fight or a flight. So either I'm going to try to defend myself against the dog, or I might want to just run away from it. Coming to the third part of the mind now, and very interestingly, is what we call as the critical mind or the critical filter. This part of the mind is developed from the age 0. So from the time that we are born till around age 8. In very simple words, this is what we call as the development of our belief systems. How? 4 factors. Depending on these 4 factors, we develop kind of a belief system, of a filter in our minds. Now, what are the 4 factors? 1, as you see on the screen, it's called SEER. It is S-E-E-R. S is social. So it's my immediate family, my extended family, the society in which I'm living, inputs from there. E for education, the kind of education I receive or I don't receive. E again for economic, so the financial kind of environment I come from, my family's finance issues, the country I come from, the region, the community, and R is for religious background. Putting all of this together in very simple words, what we are talking about is conditioning. We get conditioned in the first 8 years of our life. So imagine this software that we are talking about is developed, is programmed in the first 8 years of our life. And for the rest of our lives, we run the same software. So we are a byproduct of what we have picked up as our patterns, our belief systems, our way of thinking. Now, that shouldn't sound very demotivating, because none of us are 8 years old, which means we have already crossed that time, but that doesn't mean that, you know, everything is lost. And not all belief systems are bad either. This means that if there is a belief system, if there is a pattern that is today not serving me purpose, hypnotherapy or other modalities of mind sciences as well are techniques to rewire our minds, to let go of those belief systems, of those emotional charges that we are carrying in our subconscious space that do not serve us any purpose. I think there is a comment, so I'm quickly going to check that. Jitin says, can we explore primitive mind by any method? Yes, of course, all the time. So yes, we can. Hypnotherapy is one of the ways where you can absolutely go into the depths of your primitive memory or primitive mind. So this goes about in terms of your family. So it could be ancestral memory. Ancestral work is a very prominent field of work under hypnosis. Absolutely possible, happens all the time. Also, Jitin, many a times a lot of our phobias come from the primitive mind. So yes, it's absolutely very, very common to go into primitive mind. So it depends, sometimes people will come with an issue when we work on them. So for example, the role of a therapist is like a GPS. The role is to take the conscious mind, as you see on the screen. We take the permission of the conscious mind, we open the critical filter, so we break through that and we go into the repertoire, the subconscious mind, and imagine there are files there that is, say there's somebody has got a phobia of water. So in my understanding, it would be one of the files in the hard drive is corrupted, which means that is giving the person not a good time. So under hypnotherapy, we would be able to find out whether that file belongs to modern memory, which is the life experience of the person, or it belongs to primitive memory, which could be ancestral, evolutionary memory, past life, whatever our belief system is. Doesn't matter. We club it as primitive memory. So to answer your question, hypnotherapy is one of the most easy, safe methods of going into primitive memory. Happens all the time. Okay, so coming back to a very short, this is a very short gist of the science of the mind, but there is a lot of information and there is a lot to take in. If any of you are interested to know more, just give me just drop in a message on the chat box. I will be happy to share with you more information in terms of articles or videos to know more about how the mind works. And if you have any questions now, because I'm aware there's a lot of information on this slide, please feel free to put it in the chat box. If not, then I will move on to now understanding what is hypnotherapy. Now, when we are talking of hypnotherapy as a modality, what we are saying is these files, we are talking of these files, of any blocks, any patterns that I consciously cannot work on. I've tried everything, but I cannot work on. That's when we talk of reprogramming. Now, reprogramming doesn't mean deleting files. This is not a science of, let's forget this happened. No. So coming to the same example, what does reprogramming means? So I got bitten by a dog when I was 3 years old. And since then, I'm scared of dogs. Reprogramming means that I will still remember that I was bitten by a dog. It's not to erase my memory, but that charge that I'm carrying with me, inside me, in one of my files, that the moment I see a dog, I will get into a panic mode, we neutralize that. So we neutralize the experience. We also dissociate that experience does not define me. There are many facets of me. So me and my experience are two different concepts altogether. And the moment I'm able to do that, healing starts to happen. So the goal of hypnotherapy, as you see, is to reprogram not only our memories, our experiences, but our thoughts, our belief systems. And by doing that, we are healing the subconscious patterns which are in conflict with my conscious goals. So my conscious goal is weight loss, but because of whatever reason, I'm not achieving it. We do not work on functioning thoughts. We do not work on functioning belief systems because they are assets and you will take them, you will carry them on to build yourself from success to success. Bhagwat, Ishwar, can you share more details on WhatsApp? Yes, I will make a note of your number and I will be more than glad to share it with you. Okay. So now coming back from now with the understanding of the mind science, now coming to understanding as hypnosis from perspective of your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Now, as you see on this slide, because subconscious mind is the custodian of our internal body functions, you will see that whether we are awake, whether we are sleeping, whether we are under hypnosis, whether we are meditating, any state, subconscious mind is always awake and always in control. Why? Because if it is not in control, we won't be alive. Our internal body functions will stop. Now, the state of hypnosis, the state of being asleep or awake is only determined, as you see, by the stand that the conscious mind takes. So, like we are awake at the moment, the conscious mind is awake and in control. When we go to sleep at night, the conscious mind also sleeps, which means conscious mind has no control over our bodies, over our environment, nothing. Now, the difference between sleep and hypnosis is, as you see, in sleep, conscious mind is not there, is sleeping. But in hypnosis, under the state of hypnosis, conscious mind is still awake, but it is not in control. So for anybody, people who have gone through hypnotherapy, you would know, but for ones who haven't, it is not how it is shown sometimes in movies or media that you click a finger and somebody falls off. No. Under hypnosis, you are completely aware sometimes of your surroundings. You will be able to, remember everything that happens during the session most of the time. It does not mean that you're falling asleep or you forget. Why? Because the presence of the conscious mind is also very much required. When we work with the subconscious and there is data that comes up, there's information that comes up, at the same time, we need the presence of the conscious mind who is going to later, after the session, utilize that information, make plans, take actions. When this combination happens, that is when our therapy or our healing becomes way, way more effective. So coming to, with this background of the mind science and understanding the difference between the different states of awareness, why would you or why would I choose hypnotherapy? Now, as I mentioned earlier, for me, hypnotherapy is as good as any life skill. So the way I should know how to swim, because God forbid if I fall into a water body, I will be able to save myself. As I believe I should know how to ride a bike, I put it in the same essential category of a life skill. It only helps us understand ourselves better, the reasons for all the illogical things happening in our lives, our patterns, our blocks better. It also helps us understand other people much better when we take a perspective from a life skill, from a mind science perspective. Secondly, it is extremely safe. It's one of the safest modalities and hence it is extremely, extremely popular. Why safe? Again, because we are working with the subconscious mind, and subconscious mind is the custodian of our survival. So it never pushes us to a point where it can harm us. And the third and very important point as well is it's extremely effective. The data I have here is from the American Health magazine. And as you see, the efficacy, the effectiveness of hypnosis is extremely high. It is, all modalities work. This is not to say one is better than the other. Psychoanalysis works, behavioral therapy works, but this line of work, when we are talking of hypnotherapy, to me, it is more like, it's like an 80-20 principle. Because the subconscious mind is bigger, it is more powerful. When we can drop in there and when we can go about rewiring that, the impact is way more effective as well as way more faster than many other therapeutic modalities. And then coming to more close to what we started with, who can be a hypnotherapist? Well, anyone can be, as long as you have the zest to know about the science, you are interested in the science, you have the the dire desire, to know the workings of the mind. It doesn't require any like any qualifications, like you have to have a degree in this or no. We come from different walks of life. So as I said, my example, I worked in the corporate sector and I have an MBA which had no correlation to psychiatry, to psychology, to any of these line of work. But yes, here I am in front of you. I'm also a teacher of hypnotherapy. So every batch that I teach, I have people from all walks of life. There are doctors, there are medical practitioners, and it's on the rise at the moment. There are front-end medical staff who come in to be a hypnotherapist, school teachers, homemakers, people from the corporate world, artists, therapists. There is nothing that I have seen. There's a block to anything that you have been in life before is not a block. It's only a huge learning platform for you to step into it. So there is nothing that is a prerequisite in terms of qualifications. Only thing I would suggest is if this interests you, if you want to know more about mind science, then yes, that is what it is. If you want to learn the science and want to become a practicing therapist, then of course added to it is your longing to work with people, to work in the industry of wellness, where you're making a difference in people's life, and also your own life. The quality of your own life can only go from strength to strength, because with every passing day and with every person you work with, you are also learning more about yourself. Where could you study? Well, for ones who are watching me from UAE, I'm going to be specifically talking about Dubai and Abu Dhabi. But for ones that are watching me on Facebook, this is how I learned, and this is what is my recommendation today, to look at this institute, ECA. You could go through their website and you will have all information. It's a very well recognized ISO certified institute and they run the training programs all around the world. In Dubai and Abu Dhabi, you could contact Illuminations. For people who are very new to this line of work, every 2 weeks, we hold foundation courses, we hold webinars, seminars on the science of hypnotherapy, so that you can know more about it. At Eliminations, we also hold support groups for existing students. So all students from say level 1 to level 5, we meet once a month to kind of catch up, to share our knowledge, if there are any doubts, to clear any doubts. So it's a very well organized and structured program. I'm going to take a pause and check and answer the question. How would you define past life regression to people who do not believe in? Yes, Zenith. See, that is the beauty of this science. So past life regression, of course, it depends whether I believe in past life or not. But if you ask me as a therapist, it makes no difference. I would say look at it from the point of view of ancestral lives. So when I go into my primitive memory, I may be accessing a memory, a file that belongs to my ancestors. And that is what we believe, that is what we teach. And whether past life or not, ancestral life is a completely, it's a huge field of work. So think of it as evolutionary memory that comes down through generations. So if I believe in past life, I might say it's my past life. If I don't believe in past life, it could be the life of my ancestors. It really doesn't matter. What we call it as is ancestral memory or evolutionary memory. So it's a bigger subset. Now, what individuals believe in is completely up to them. It makes no difference from a healing, from a therapy perspective. I'm always putting music like affirmations while I'm sleeping. Will it help to reprogram my brain, reprogram your mind? Yes, Elizabeth, yes, it does. When we run the course, even in level 1, the first thing that we also teach is self-hypnosis. So we work with affirmations, and yeah, in the trance-like state, it does work. But you can check, you can do an affirmation and see if maybe practice it for 21 days. That's what we mostly say, and then see if that works. Technically, if you ask me, yeah, that should. With the courses, when would there be a course in Abu Dhabi, since travel to Dubai is not that simple? Yes, Liz, I know travel between Abu Dhabi and Dubai is a little complicated these days. I will ask Illuminations to send you and put you in touch with Illuminations Abu Dhabi so that you can attend the course there. I think we just had one, if I'm not mistaken, but I will tell them to send you the dates and the calendar for our center in Abu Dhabi. Deja says, I have a certification in hypnotherapy from a different country. Can I practice as hypnotherapist in Dubai? I think you will need to check. I'm not completely sure because, you know, I did my certification from ECA in Dubai. And why I did this is because this course is attested by the KHDA. So after your level 5, after your completion, you can get your certificate attested by by KHDA. So I followed that route. My common sense says it should not be a problem. You would just need to check what kind of licensing you would need, or for that matter, if you're working, if you plan to work with any of the, you know, wellness centers, then you could check with them as well. I see most of our colleagues, most of our students that I know is from ECA and from Illuminations. I haven't come across, but I think, Nadeja, my common sense says that it should be, but do check it, and I think that shouldn't be a problem. The foundation course, right now we are doing it as webinars, Jitin. So this is the one that you're attending. When maybe we will next month, we could do one at the center. The duration is 1.5 hours. And for the fees, I will ask Illuminations to mail you. They're the right people to give you all the information. They'll give you the calendar for the foundation course as well as the fees. Yasmin, are there any online courses? Yes, I was just coming to that. Can we do it over Zoom? Okay, so these two questions I will answer right now. So the course that we are talking about is the course that is brought forward by ECA. As I mentioned, that ECA is an ISO certified company, and it has affiliations. As you can see, I've named a few, but they've got affiliations around the world. Now, once you do your 5 levels with them, you become an intern, you are assigned mentors, and then you would start to work on your case studies. And after you complete your case studies, as I said, then you go into getting your attestation by the KHD, and then you are a certified hypnotherapist. Now, yes, this course can be done as a combination of online and on-site. So when we are doing this as on-site, which means in classroom, it is a 2-day program for level 1. As you see, all the dates here that I've given you is for the on-site, which means you're in a classroom setting. Now, since COVID and since lockdowns, we also do the courses online. However, it is split into 2 parts. So the first part will be the online, which means I'm going to be teaching you the theory part of it. So we will get into further more details of the theory of the mind, theory of suggestibility. I'm talking level 1, for example. And then once you are able to come to the center, you come to the center and you will then practice with each other. Now, both the aspects are equally critical. This is not a course that you can just do online. You will get a certificate for the online theory part, but you would at some point of time when, you know, the restrictions ease out and when we are comfortable to come out, then you can come to the center, a batch will be formed, and you would then come on site and do the practice. Because you cannot substitute that. When, you know, knowing the theory is extremely helpful and it's mind-boggling, to be honest, but that theory has also to be translated into practice, especially for people who want to take this up as a vocation or a career. Now, if you just want to know the theory, if you just are happy with it, you could only do the online part and get your certification very easily just for the online part. After which level of certification can we practice in Dubai as a certified hypnotherapist? After level 5, as I mentioned, Manoj, you will have all the levels. So after each level, you're going to be getting one certificate each for each level. Once you complete level 5, you become an intern with this institute, ECA. And if you like, you will be assigned a mentor. You have 1 year time from the level 5 to complete 10 case studies. So you will be actually working with real life people and bring their issues to resolution using different techniques that you have learned in this line of work. Once then you're going to submit these case studies to ICA. You will have an interview, and when you pass that interview, the final certificate will come. That is when you will be a certified hypnotherapist. That certificate can also be attested by KHDA, and you can start to practice. That is for going out and practicing as a certified therapist. But as students, we will encourage you to keep practicing with each other, with friends, with known people, so that you will need to do that, because without practice, you will not be able to go up to the level of case studies and then working with people. So practice will start from level 1. As a certified hypnotherapist, once you complete all levels, all the tools are in your toolkit, and then you go out with your certificate. Rita, if you can also send me the details for the foundation course. Yes, each one of you will get all the details after we finish. Illuminations will mail it, and I will 100% remind them to send it to you as well. Sabah, please send me the details for the courses in Abu Dhabi. Yes, I will ask them to send all the information for both Dubai as well as Abu Dhabi. I have covered this part. Who certifies me? You are certified at each level by ECA. Final certification after the submission of case studies and interview. After that, with the final certification, you get a KHDA attestation, and ECA is affiliated to IMDHA and to TASO. So you could get their affiliations. There are formalities that needs to be done. There are forms that need to be filled. But ECA does help you in that. So you can also concurrently be members of IMDHA and other institutes who have an affiliation with ECA. When can I start? You can start now. Today is a good day. Any day is a good day to start. So yes, you could start, check what works for you given your present situation, whether it's online, whether it's on-site. If you need more information, you can book a 30-minute free consultation at Illuminations, and you can have a one-on-one chat with any of the teachers, and then you can register. And welcome. Welcome to the world of hypnotherapy and mind sciences. I'm going to leave this slide here. As you see, the affiliations, and these are your affiliations. There's ECA, there's IMDHA, there's IPHM. So you can get affiliated around the world. These are institutes that affiliate you after you have completed this course. So yes, I know there's a lot of request on sending the information. We will definitely send all the information to you. And if there's any other question, yeah, can we skip a level if we have previous knowledge? Could I take level 4 or 5? To the best of my knowledge, I think you will need to start from level 1 and then continue. To the best of my knowledge, I will ask Illuminations to check with ECA, because not because that we don't honor any other school. I'm pretty sure you've done a course, and I'm pretty sure you're well versed with it, but every course has a different way of bringing on the techniques. As far as I know, you would need to do all the levels, but I will check. I'll ask Illuminations to check with ECA, and maybe they will let you know. So on that note, Nadija, the issue is with level 1, 2, and 3 is actually your pure Western clinical therapy therapeutic tools. So all your tools that you need are like bombarded into level 1, 2, and 3. Now, level 4 and 5 is a tad different. Level 4 and 5 is when we are talking of metaphysical. So we are moving from the physical realm to the metaphysical. Here we are talking of working on the energy bodies, the chakra healing. We're talking of RRT, where you are inducting through the body. you're talking of ancestral healing, you're talking of past life, so you're getting into that zone. So, and there is a proper linkage and there's a proper build up to it. So if you ask me, start from level 1, and I'm sure you'll love it. Thank you, Rita. You enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Zenith, so illumination helps. Yes, Illuminations helps in the attestation process with KHDA. So when I complete my course, there is a fee for attestation with KHDA. I just gave it to Illuminations. They got it done. So they will help you in the attestation with the final certificate. You're most welcome. Thank you. And even later, if you have any questions, I've left, you can contact Illuminations, you could contact me. Thank you, Hans. Helen, can you remind us of the name of the institute doing mind analysis? I think you mean the Heart Math Institute. It's Heart, H-E-A-R-T, Math, M-A-T-H Institute. You can just Google and you'll have a lot of information on them. If that is the one that you meant, Helen, otherwise let me know. I'll try to understand. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, Zenith. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, I look forward to seeing you soon. Will the recording be available? Yes, the recording will be available. This will, anyways, it is streaming live on Facebook, so you can catch it on Facebook. But also Illuminations will mail you tomorrow probably with a link to the recording, so you can always come back and watch it again. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. I've built up the interest. Thank you if I have done that. It is truly intriguing, you know, as I say, it's very close to my heart because this line of work completely changed my life. That's the reason I moved from a very different career into this. And if this is helpful, then I think my purpose today is served. Thank you so much. Bye, Elizabeth. Thank you.